Hello.
Do that, do that.
Caminaremos siempre para adelante, de generación a generación, porque tenemos África en la sangre. Oye, llevo África en la sangre. Oye, donde quiera que yo ande, repítelo otra vez. Oye, llevo África en la sangre. Oye, donde quiera que yo ande. Óyeme bien, oye, llevo África en la sangre. Oye, donde quiera que yo ande.
Is that you, Paul? Hey, that's my girl. Hey, hey. Hey. Can you hear the music? All right now.
I was trying to pass the 294 number again instead of putting in KOTC. That's what I was doing wrong.
I can't hear what you saying.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
I think that's Paul. Who's that up top?
That's me, Janice.
Janice. Oh, lovely. Habari gani?
Janice. I'm what's up.
That's right. You what's up for show, girl. I'm gonna put your name to Janice from Nabs. Can I rename you?
Yes, you can. See how it comes up, KOTC, all the time?
Oh, you have to just rename yourself. That's all. You go into the right screen and you rename yourself. Okay, so I'm renaming you so you don't have to do it. Okay?
That's cool.
Nice. Nice.
I can hear you, but I can't see you. I can just see the KOTC logo.
Okay, okay, let me take it off because it's just there until we get started. Hey! Hey, hey!
On Africa, hello everyone.
Africa, how are you? Who's trying to call me in? Can you hear the music?
Yeah.
Yeah, we finna party, okay? We finna party up in here.
If I had known, I would have worn my hat. From
Come on now, get it down. Hey, Carla. Habari gani? Habari gani?
Habari gani?
Look at everybody, just as happy as they can be.
Hey,
You bring the instrument?
hold on a second, I'll grab something.
Let me grab something.
Day by day, Hello, Mama Africa, how are you? Hey. Next Friday, Mama Africa, how are you? I'm feeling fine, and I hope you're fine too. Hello, Mama Africa, how are you? I'm sure to hear these words. Your grace turn blue. Grace turn blue.
How you
thing about
doing?
these virtual meetings,
Okay.
you don't have to have on shoes. You don't even have to have on pants if you keep it chest high.
Amen.
Well, what we're going to do is, we got Diane from Mississippi.
Hey, Diane, how you doing? I missed you when you were in Baltimore.
I know, but Kay kept it real. She came over and I went to the meeting. I went to the Griot Circle meeting.
Okay. That was my busy period.
I should have worn my Griot Circle shirt. Next time, I'm going to wear it next week.
Don't worry about it.
Because I got
have
one.
about 4 of them. I know you do.
I got one. I was a member for a whole year.
Hi, Diane. I love that little sweetie pie of yours.
I know, right?
He's scrumptious.
Carla, I'm going to rename you so people can know. I'm going to rename you Mama Carla. What's
Hey,
your name?
Mama Carla Wiley.
Okay, Mama Carla Wiley.
Only just leave Janice from NABS on there, because so that way it'll come up that way all the time.
Well, I can show you how you can change it. You can go to your screen in the right side in the corner, hit those 3 little dots next to mute.
No, that's not where my mute is. My mute is down here on the left side.
Okay, well then look, there should be 3 little dots next to your mute, and that enables you to change your name.
Okay. Let's see. Select the microphone. Audio settings, leave audio, switch the phone, touch the same system. Speakers, it doesn't say change your name. It's somewhere on here.
Well, I guess I can do it here.
Wait a minute, no, I want to figure this out. I like to figure stuff out.
So you're on your laptop, right?
Yeah.
Okay, at the bottom of your laptop, there's manage participants. Well, I see manage participants.
You know what? That's because you're the host.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So is that okay that you have the way I have it? Is that cool?
Yeah, well, you have Janice the Griot, just because it's gonna, whatever you put me in, that's what it'll come up. And I go to a lot of other meetings, so just put Janice from NABS.
From NABS. Well, I like your website, and I like that it's called Janice the Griot.
We'll leave it that way then.
Okay, great.
So when
we're just gonna wait for Paul. Paul's supposed to be on here because he usually does a welcome. And I think I stopped the video. Oh God, I don't want that video going right now. So I'm stopping it now. No, the recording of it, I'm saying.
We'll find out.
Oh, there's Jackie. You're on.
All right, peace and blessings, everyone. Today is April 17th. I'm thinking it's been about a month now since I've been on lockdown as far as schools being closed. And I've been doing pretty well, coming here to see and help my mom and brother take care of my father. That kind of threw a wrench in everything, but I'm glad I'm here. My dad's doing better. But this morning, for the first time, I woke up with anxiety. And I thought I was good. I'm like, it's summer break for me. I ain't got to do all of this. If I don't see the kids, it's automatically a vacation, And you are seeing and hearing about so many people who is like, anxiety or stir crazy or just, struggled with like staying in the house. And for the first time this morning, I had that feeling and I just couldn't like put my finger on it. I'm the type that's like, okay, if something's off, I'm always looking for the source. I'm like, do I need to pray? Do I need to grab a crystal? What do I need to do? So
all of the above.
Yes, it's like you got to fight with all your weapons. But the weapon that literally just helped me in this past hour, I sat here and I started writing.
Good.
And
That's what I do too.
I didn't write about nothing that's going on in life. I just started writing a short little fiction story of a conversation between me and a great aunt of mine. And I was so in it. Oni was calling me and I'm like, I'm almost done. Like, give me 5 minutes, because I had got so much joy just writing that anecdote that it just reminded me, we as storytellers, because we are writers. If you're telling stories, you should be writing some of these down.
Yes.
And it reminded me of what healers we are to this world. You know, the power of our word. That was the earliest form of connection, was to speak. When God created us, he spoke and we were created. So we are art that uses the most powerful tool available, our voice. And we so many times, we as tellers, we're going and we're telling here, we're telling there, Black History, Kwanzaa, Juneteenth, whatever the theme is, that sometimes we forget to heal ourselves.
Yes.
And we need to heal ourselves. And I'm encouraging everybody on here that may see this, that while we're in this time of quarantine, don't forget to heal yourself. While you checking in on everybody else, use that creative power, whether it's writing a story, singing a song, writing a poem, but use that as your medicine, because it just transformed the rest of my evening, just writing a short story. And so, and it's something we need to be doing anyway, is writing. So I want to encourage you today to use that creativity, not just to heal everybody else, but make sure you are healing yourself.
That is so true.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I exercised 2 days in a row, so I'm on that path.
Good.
Yeah, I exercised 2 days in a row. Well, thank you for that. You have anything else you want to share?
I'll do one of my old jokes. Since I'm with my dad, I've just been
Keep it clean, Paul. Keep it clean.
Either you can do it now or you can do it later.
Let me get it out the way, because I kind of want to sit back and watch everybody else do it.
Okay. All right.
This reminds me of TGIF when he used to come on TV. Just sit back and watch everybody entertain. Some of you may heard it. It's my Uncle Roy joke. And so.
Oh, yeah, I like this.
So, it's my Aunt Celie and my Uncle Roy. And Uncle Roy, he has bouts of dementia. And so they live on the south side of Chicago. And in the neighborhood, they had a friend that had their first grandbaby. And the friend's name was Mosine Ford. So Celie decided that her and Roy are going to go down to the street to Mosine's house and, you know, congratulate them about that baby. First grandbaby is a big deal. So Aunt Celie and Uncle Roy, they walking down the street, and Aunt Celie was telling Roy how all the neighborhood had been talking because that baby had been born with no ears. And she gonna tell Roy, now Roy, when we get in this house, don't you say nothing ugly about that baby having no ears. And Uncle Roy just sat back and, oh, shoot, shit, ain't nobody think about that baby. So they get in the house and Mosine opens the door, come on in. So they sit down in the living room, and there's that baby sitting on the floor with no ears. And Roy is looking at that baby, Celie looking at Roy, Mosine looking at Roy, and Celie and Mosine start chatting. And Roy just looking at that baby and says to Mosine, that's a nice baby you got there, Mosine. And she said, thank you, Roy. She said, does that baby talk good? And Mosine said, well, Roy, you know he a newborn, but I'm sure when he start talking, he gonna talk just fine. And Uncle Roy said, oh, that's just wonderful. So Aunt Celie and Miss Mosine keeps on talking, and Roy stares at that baby and said, Mosine, does that baby walk good? And Celie looks at Roy, and Mosine says, well, boy, the baby, he's still just crawling, but I'm pretty sure when he starts standing up, he gonna walk just fine. And Uncle Roy said, that's good. Now, Aunt Celie getting a little nervous because she feel like Roy about to say something crazy. Talking on, and Roy looks at that baby one more time, and he said, Mosine, does that baby see good? Now, Aunt Celie on the edge of her seat now, and she said, Roy, what's the problem? He looks at Mosine and said, well, I hope that baby got 20/20 vision. And Mosine says, well, Roy, why is that? And Roy said, well, he sure can't wear no eyeglasses.
Wow.
I love that. It's terrible. It ain't right.
I have an uncle that would have said just that too.
Yeah, shake that thing. Shake that thing.
All right, I'm done.
You ain't right. Okay. All right, we're gonna hear next. We're gonna hear next from Janice.
Oh,
Griot from Janice Curtis Green, right?
with
Yes.
the E on the end.
Be on in.
E on the end.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking for something over here in my other room. Okay.
Janice Curtis Green is the president of NABS, for those of you who might not be aware of that. And she's based in BMO, right?
The center of the universe.
All right now. Be
With
more.
Bunch Joe Butler.
Don't tell nobody from Brooklyn that.
Be
So
more.
we're gonna hear from our sister Janice, the president of NAB. She's gonna tell us a story, and she's gonna tell us about the festival that's coming up. Hello.
So this story is my coronavirus story. It is called A House Full of Memories. You know, when I'm riding around all over Maryland to tell my stories, I notice all these big, beautiful new houses. I'm watching people do newscasts and meetings from their kitchens, and the kitchens look so fabulous and fancy. And I think to myself, I should have moved into a big, fancy house years ago. We sure could have afforded it instead of the 60-year-old fixer-upper. But the house is mine. Paris and I, we own this house. So while I was here, stuck in the house, you know, social distancing, I thought, I'm going to restore this house to its original greatness. But first, I have to remove the clutter. So I take on different projects. And I've decided I'm going to clean some closets, clean some drawers. Now, the first closet we started out with is the hall closet. My husband used to collect baseball caps, and I'm so short, every time I reached up to get something out of the closet, about 50 caps would just fall on my head. And it would just fall, and I said, you know what, we have to clean these caps. So I put a blanket out, like a big picnic. And we pulled all the caps out of that closet. And we started to think about all the memories attached to each one of those caps. And vacations we took. We saw the cap from the Soweto Children's Museum and the Hector Peterson Museum in South Africa. And then we saw the cap that my husband had purchased in Aruba. And that was right before Barry made transition. We wanted to make sure that he had the best vacation ever. So my middle son, Barry, who had been wounded in the Gulf War, and my younger son, Aaron, and my husband and I, we went to Aruba. Now, Barry was sick during that time, and we used to have to hook him up to his IV at night. And we hooked it up to a lamp that was in the room, and he had a pick line to make sure he got enough nourishment at night. While we were on that trip, Barry took seriously ill and had to be rushed to the hospital in Aruba, where most of the people there did not speak English, and my little broken Spanish was not cutting it. But then the ICU nurse was a beautiful sister, beautiful ebony skin, and she spoke about 5 languages, and fortunately one of those was English, and she took care of Barry. She hooked him up to an IV, and he needed a little antibiotics. He was dehydrated. And she said, now I have a prescription for you. I want you and your husband on doctor's orders to forget about Barry for one night, because I have him, I'm taking care of him. And you go out and enjoy our beautiful island. And so my husband and I, we did just that. We went out and we enjoyed Aruba that night, knowing that Barry was safe and sound, and she needed to get in touch with us. She had our phone number. We watched the sun go down, and we had drinks on the beach. And that hat, that was the memory from that closet. So excited about all the memories that I was finding, I decided to tackle that file cabinet in my bedroom. And I was cleaning out papers. I have stacks of papers to shred and everything. And then on the bottom drawer, I realized that there were papers shoved in the back, all the way in the back. And I wondered, what could that be? You know, when you have things in the back of your closets, you tend to put things in front of them, and you shove them, and they get further and further and further in the back. And over the years, you forget that they're there. Well, what I found were the programs for my son's funerals. I found a bereavement book, a memory book that my husband and I had made when we went to grief counseling with my oldest son, Calvin. Just like Paul's father's name. When he asked me to pray for his father, I said, oh, I'll remember Calvin easily. That's my oldest boy's name. We found a memory book, and it was filled with pictures I had forgotten we'd taken. There were pictures of my husband and I with no gray hair when the boys were small. And so I got more curious, and I started digging back to those papers. I found Barry's certificate when he graduated from Marine boot camp in Paris Island, and I had flown down there to see him. And Barry, who had always been the smallest of the 3, when he took his shirt off, he was buff. He had built himself up. His little stutter had gone, and he was all muscle. And I took this picture in the room that we were sharing that evening. And I saw that picture. I wondered what had happened to it. You see, he used to keep that stuck in his mirror of his bedroom to remind himself of what he looked like before he took ill. And after a while, I didn't see it anymore. And I said, Barry, where's that picture? He said, I can't stand to look at myself in the mirror and see what I look like now compared to what I look like then. But I found that picture. I found letters that Barry had written while he was stationed in Iraq. And he would tell me how brave the Iraqi soldiers fought right next to him. And I started to cry. The tears just poured down my face. They were silent tears, but they were mournful tears. And I just couldn't stop. I just kept opening one thing after another, and each thing had its own special memory attached to it. I started to fold up everything neatly and put it back all the way in the back of the drawer until I found these letters. And I looked down, and there were a stack of letters all rubber band together. And I recognized the handwriting. They were letters from Mother Mary Carter Smith. Letters she had written to me when my sons made transition. They were letters of hope and joy and love, and the love of Christ, and about the resurrection and how good God is. And see, I knew she knew what I was going through, because her only son, Ricky, had been murdered in the prime of his life. And I sat down there and I read those letters again, and more tears flowed. But this time the tears weren't mournful. They were joyful. And reading those letters on the Monday after Easter, after celebrating the resurrection, brought a joy to my heart that I had forgotten I ever had. So instead of putting those things to the back of that drawer, I pulled them forward. They were memories I didn't want to lose or forget. And so I touched each one and I kissed each one and I wrapped those letters up and put them in a special folder in the front of that drawer so I could visit it more often. And as I sit here in my 60-year-old fixer-upper, I don't regret not having moved, because this house where I've lived with my husband for 46 years now, and where I've raised my children, all three, it's my house full of memories, and I'm excited about digging into the next closet to see what memories they will hold. Memories like the corners of my mind, misty water-colored memories of the way we moved. And that's my coronavirus story about my house full of memories.
Wow.
And the only way it's
Beautiful.
gonna get me out of here is when they carry me out feet first.
I wonder if we can sing that
I say,
Beautiful.
memory.
Wow.
Awesome.
Hi,
Really?
family. Hi, y'all. Hi, family.
Wow.
Oh, we're glad you got on.
Family,
Just figured out how to
Oh,
get it.
Madam President. That was some story,
Great.
Madam President.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I'm glad you made it, Jawara.
I see Janice
I see
Jawara.
two
Right.
Jacqueline
Hi.
Wiggins.
I figured out
I
how
see two
to.
Jacqueline Wiggins.
Yeah, I think I'm in. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm in. I don't know what I did.
Well, I see you twice.
But
Well, we
think I'm
just heard a beautiful story by Janice DeGriot from
Yeah.
NABS, the president of NABS. And Janice, you want to share with us about the festival and give us some encouragement about what?
Well,
what's
we're
supposed
still
to come?
moving forward.
Okay.
We are going to make that final decision sometime in August when we see how all this plays out. Right now, the hotel is shut down. It wasn't worth the hotel staying open with only a few guests to pay a whole staff to take care of just a few guests. So they shut down. They have disinfected, sterilized, cleaned it out, and shut down. So we can't even get in touch with the hotel. But we're moving forward with the Omni Richmond Hotel with the festival in November. The call has just gone out for, well, it's almost closing. Darlin extended it for another week for featured tellers, for workshop presenters. So I think that call is out until, I think the closing date was the 13th. So I think they've extended it to the 20th, which is right around the corner. So if you want to be a featured teller or a workshop presenter, get that in. They're only accepting those electronically. And if you open the, if you're a paid up menu, if you're a member, if you're financial, then you'll get that newsletter that Venora sends out every month with updates as far as with Darlin and myself as far as the festival. Darlin and Barbara Edie are trying something special with the souvenir journal this year, since the theme is in the footsteps of the ancestors. They're going to create ancestor pages that look like yearbook inside the souvenir journal, where people can send pictures of their ancestors. And they will be put in the book. There'll be about 12 on a page, and it'll say Thomas and Evelyn Curtis, parents of Janice Curtis Green. Send in your vintage, not only electronically in certain formats. I think JPEGs, PDFs. I think there are 3 formats that she can take, but that'll be up on the website too. And it'll be in the footsteps of the ancestors. And you'll be able to send in your ancestor pictures. I told Lenore if we go through with the festival, make sure she orders extra copies of that souvenir journal so people can purchase them, because they're going to want to get a souvenir journal for members of their family to see these pictures. I think the pictures cost either $35 or $40 a picture, but we tested it out and they look great. They look great. And all I did was take a picture in my living room, and Barbara Edie was able to format that and put it in a book. So that is something new. The festival in Utah, Soul is so excited. Charlotte Starks, that's in 2021. And their theme is telling our stories from the mountaintops, because the mountain ranges in Utah are so just beautiful.
Wow.
So I'm putting together a little song for that festival on the tune of Go Tell It on the Mountain.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah.
I know you are.
Telling our stories from the mountaintops, over the hills and everywhere. Telling our stories from the mountaintops. The Black storytellers are here.
Come on, let's hear it. I want to hear it. We're going to drive this machine crazy, but I would like to see what it does if we all sing along.
It's going to be a 4-second delay.
Is it?
So everybody's going to come in wacky. It's going to be like we're doing a story in a round, like row, row, row your boat.
Yes.
But I want to hear another story. I want to hear somebody else's story.
All right. Next we have Rick and Sandra.
Oh, good.
And they're friends of KOTC, and they're going to present something called Get Up, Stand Up. It's a tribute. You ready? Rick and Sandra. You born ready. Y'all born ready.
Yeah. We stay ready, ain't got to get ready.
All right, I heard that.
I'm going to mute everybody, so we'll just focus.
No, we don't.
All righty. Okay.
Ready?
See. Can we get on the screen? We can't get on the screen. Can we get on the screen from this side?
Mm-hmm. There's no video. Can you hear us?
Hello? Oh, you muted us. So we got to just do it.
No, we don't. We have to wait till they unmute us. We're muted.
We're muted.
No, you're not.
Oh, we're not?
We're not.
No, we're muted.
Okay.
The audience is, we're muted.
I know. Here we go. I'm trying to position this, but I can't see us on the screen. Let me see.
Can you see us?
Can you see us on the screen from there?
Yes, we can. You're just fine.
Okay. All right.
This is like, can you hear me now? Now, in these days, can you see me? and the millions who have been kidnapped and incarcerated. We say justice.
Wow.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Yes.
Give thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Diane Williams from Mississippi. Diane is very well known in the storytelling community. And I met Diane in 1997 through NABS when I first found out about the National Association of Black Storytellers. And Diane wrote an article for the NABS newsletter, and she mentioned about telling stories in Germany. And I wrote her, I emailed her and said, she was saying that they wanted more men, more brothers to come to Germany to tell stories. And I emailed her and said, what about women? Don't they want no more sisters? And from there, we just fell in love with each other by email. And as time evolved, we found we had so much in common. She's from Newark, I'm from North Philly. And after I really softened her up and sweetened her up and she got to really like me, she ended up taking me to Germany with her, okay? So it pays to be nice. And she ended up taking me to Germany with her, where we traveled, and I did my Paul Dunbar piece, and she did African Tales, and we just had a wonderful time. And it was all because of NABS that we met. And I was telling someone earlier, you might have your opinion about what goes on at every festival, but one thing for certain is you're going to make lifelong friends.
Yes.
And if you're open to that, you will make lifelong friends when you go to a NABS festival. And talented and creative and innovative and just fabulous, fabulous Black folks. And Diane has been my sister ever since. So I begged her to come on tonight. I told her I would talk behind her back if she didn't. Because she know I be talking behind people's backs.
But y'all know, Oni came with me to Germany, and she took a chance. I said, you know, I can't get you any work or anything like that, but I'm going to be there for 2 weeks. And when I got there, they wanted me to stay for a whole month, and I couldn't stay for a month. But I said, this wonderful storyteller, Oni Lasana, is here with me, and maybe she could do that other 2 weeks of work. So we split up and went in different directions and traveled the country, and we would meet back up on the weekends. But that's, you know, that's a chance that an artist would take. To go with somebody, to just walk beside them, you know, along that pathway and support, and then end up being blessed better than blessed. So our friendship has lasted over 20 years. And if there's one thing Oni could say about me, I'm more about other artists than I am about myself. If you know anything about me, I'm about community and supporting the artists that are in the community, that are in the state. I'm a former director of funding for artists in Mississippi.
Yes.
And I like looking back on the fact that I gave away money to artists for many, many years, and was a blessing. And the work that I do, the artwork that I do, I'm a visual artist, storyteller, mixed media fiber artist. My artwork incorporates other artists as well. If I get work, they get work. If I do a piece of art and I have a frame made by an artist, that artist gets paid. I write books and the photographers get paid. I don't ask anybody to do anything for free because I don't believe in starving artists. So that would be the one thing I would tell you about me. Like Oni said, she asked me to come on, and I didn't know I was going to be here today, but she wanted me to tell y'all, I can't see myself. about my latest book that came out in November. And I think, Paul, you and I met, is it Paul, the president of KOTC? And I met you when I came to the conference in Montgomery. Weren't you there?
Yes.
Yes.
All I had was a postcard at that time because the book was a little bit late. But anyway, the book is finally here, The Life and Legacy of B.B. King, a Mississippi blues icon. I met
My favorite.
Let's see the book.
And I met his family. Can y'all see it?
Yeah.
Hold it back a little. Right.
There it is.
Too close on the screen.
Very good.
Too close.
I'm still too close?
Yeah, just bring it back a little bit. Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay.
Let's see it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
So how much is the book?
$23.90. But I think it's on Amazon right now for $19.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The internet now, when you look up a book, they'll show you all the places you could get it in the different prices. Like it's at Walmart, Target, and some of those places even cheaper. You know, Barnes and Noble has it, Walgreens, all those kinds of places. So I started writing the book about 5 years ago. And you know, the wonderful, beautiful thing about NABS is I met Billy Branch at one of our annual conferences. He was a blues musician. He calls himself the son of the blues. Anyway, he was performing at, I don't remember which state we were in, but he graciously gave me an interview in this book. You know, he's in Chicago, an incredible Grammy award-winning blues musician that let me interview him. I started out writing a children's book. I was asked by the publisher to write the book, but it ended up being a book for adults because who buys books? Mostly adults. And the book starts out telling you about how B.B. King came through the cotton fields to the most elegant performance venues around the world. So you get a lot of vignettes and tidbits. I know his daughter, and I know his first wife's daughter, Martha King's daughter. And so they've graciously given me pictures and things for the book. I think some of the backstory, the book is just a little thin book. It's 160 pages. The backstory in the book is the best, but if I could share one little tidbit with you all, I would share about King's remembrance of his visiting his Aunt Jemima. He called her Aunt Mima. She would always kiss him. It was an act that should have represented the love he desperately needed because, you know, he lost his mother at a young age. Then he lost his grandmother. His father had left, you know, long before that. And B.B. King lived in a house. He lived in his grandmother's house by himself. And you may not know this, but B.B. King carried a flashlight with him all his life because he was afraid of the dark. Till the day he died, he carried a flashlight. Because when he was living in his grandmother's house, working out in the cotton fields and would come home at night, he was scared. He was just a child. But he had this Aunt Jemima, and she would always kiss him. It was an act that should have represented the love he so desperately needed, but instead he dreaded those visits. Aunt Mama, she would kiss him as if it was the most natural thing in the world. And it wouldn't be a problem if she didn't indulge in the habit of dipping snuff. She would pinch a wad of tobacco out of a tin, pack it into her mouth, and hold a big lump on one side of her jaw. But Aunt Mama's home, that was the place where Riley had an opportunity to discover music because he would listen to her old Victrola. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yes, indeed.
He would listen to her albums, and that's where he learned about Blind Lemon Jefferson and Lonnie Johnson, and those were the ones that influenced him. And you know, I wanted to write the book because I think there's something for our Black children, for Black people. B.B. King, and I don't think whites get this. I went through 2 publishers. The first one, they kept sending the book out for review, but I wasn't going to let them take things out of the book that would inspire us as African Americans. And these things are so simple. Anybody B.B. King met, he would encourage you, even if you were a performer performing at the same venue and you did a bad job. Every musician I ever met said he encouraged me, he lifted me up. And his children said that, you know, even if he didn't like a person, he wouldn't let them know it. He would be upstanding. He was a gentleman all of his life. And he was born in 1925. And he's, you know, struggled like any other musician, but it wasn't until people like the Rolling Stones, the European musicians, came to America and wanted to learn about his music that it became famous. And that's because prior to that, you know, the 50s and in that era, people thought the European music, the fine arts, was the only good music that there was. And to this day, and I'm skipping a lot of things I wish I had time to tell y'all, to this day, we as Blacks, we don't honor the blues music like we should. Who goes to blues festivals? White folks go to blues festivals. Who went to B.B. King's funeral? A whole lot of white folks went to B.B. King's funeral. And I was there, and those kinds of things. So there's so much in this book that would encourage us. You know, we want to talk about him having 15 children. That's not what I wrote about. I mentioned every one of their names and even some others. But anyway, there's just so much that could be told about B.B. King. I would say one other thing is that he came up through that civil rights era. He saw lynchings. He saw a lot of things, but he sailed over a lot of things too, because as he became famous, he didn't have to go through what some of the blues musicians you and I know went through. He didn't have to deal with those kinds of struggles. But I learned about the White Citizens Council that came out of Indianola, where he grew up. And what I didn't know, if I could just share one last thing with you all, was that Martin Luther King had something to say about that White Citizens Council. See, they were, you know, we had the Ku Klux Klan. Y'all know about the Ku Klux Klan. But this White Citizens Council, when we talk about that redlining that happened where we can't buy property and those kinds of things, when we talk about the times when our mom and them couldn't go into the bank to get a loan, even no matter what we had, that White Citizens Council, you know, they had their suits on and they represented every business in the community that held us back in the South. So Martin Luther King, he said they must be held responsible for all the terror, the mob rule, and the brutal murders that encompassed the South over the last several years. It is an indictment on America and democracy that the ungodly and unethical, unchristian and un-American councils have been able to exist without a modicum of criticism from the federal government. And I end that quote by saying, Dr. King lived long enough to see their power fade. These were some of the things that B.B. King had to deal with in Indianola and in the little towns up in the Mississippi Delta where he grew up. Backstory, when I went to San Francisco to a concert and hopefully to meet B.B. King, I didn't know I was staying in the same hotel. And that night, as I was sleeping, we had an earthquake that rocked that city, that rocked that area. I was across the Bay Bridge, but it shook up the town. So I got a lot of backstories. I had a filmmaker want to offer me pictures and things for the book. He died, he was alcoholic. One minute he would tell me he would give me something, the next minute he would say no, and the next minute he died in a house fire, drunk. So there's a lot of backstory. There's something on YouTube where you can hear me talk about the book to learn more about it. The Mississippi Department of Archives and History allowed me to speak at a meeting. But I hope you all would tell other people about the book, the life and legacy of B.B. King, a Mississippi blues icon. And the last part of the book, I'm a teaching artist. So there's 2 Blues Trail curriculums. So if you go into schools and you use music or anything like that, you'll be able to visit those websites and be able to teach in the classroom. a little more about the blues, because that's what B.B. King would have wanted us to do, to keep spreading that word and to keep sharing it. And if y'all have any questions, I'm right here.
Okay. Wow. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank
Very good.
What if I could say, it's not a question. You have a question, Sandra?
I want to know when is B.B. King's birthday?
He was born in September 1925. I think it was, it's like September 25th, I believe it was. 1925, or September 14th. I don't have the date just right in my mind.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we know.
Well, one thing I'd like to say about, excuse me?
I said he was either a Libra or a Virgo, huh?
September 16th, that was his birthday, 1925.
That's my birthday. That's my birthday.
Yeah. That's why I asked. That's why I asked on
September 16th. What I'd like to say about the book is that not only did you learn, I got it on my Kindle to read, but not only did you learn about B.B. King, but she does a wonderful, I don't know what you call it, Diane, but at the back, at the end, she has a wonderful list of blues artists that have been influenced by B.B. King. And I was able to, look them up on my playlist, on the music thing, and find all these wonderful old time folks, but new blues singers that I had never heard of, and I love their music. So not only did she do a great service, my sister, to B.B. King, but you also promoted those that were influenced by him in the past and in the modern day blues singers. So the book is excellent, really excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Diane from Mississippi. A lifelong NABS member like me. Keepers of the culture, keepers of the culture in the house. Next, we wanted to hear a story song from Nzinga, but before we go there, I'd like to welcome Oba William King. He's joining us. Oba, Baba.
Hey, love.
Bless y'all.
All right.
Blessings, everyone.
Blessings.
Blessings.
Blessings joined us. Also, we have Deborah. Deborah is Kwanzaa Queen, one of my sisters, and she sings. So we're going to hear from Deborah. We're going to hear from Oba, and we have Lovie. Lovie, are we going to hear from you after Nzinga? No, you're just going to not even anything?
No. I'm just enjoying everybody.
Oh, good. Now, Daryl Lewis, is that your nephew? Is that your friend, Daryl Lewis?
That's my friend.
Whose friend?
Mine.
Who's mine?
Nzinga.
Nzinga? Okay, Mama Nzinga, that's your friend. Oh, nice. Hello, Daryl.
Hey,
welcome.
Daryl.
Welcome to Freestyle Friday with Keepers of the Culture. Hey.
Well, I'm checking you ladies out.
And Jawara's here with us. I'm a Jawara. I'm so glad you got on, my sister.
Me too. I'm so proud of you. Yes.
You're proud of you.
You're looking kind of upside down, Jawara. You're looking kind of fix that angle there, girlfriend.
Hey. She's laying in the cut, all right?
Okay.
She's laying in the cut.
Oh, she's laying in the cut. I didn't know.
Okay, there I go. There I go.
Storytelling Irma, we're going to hear from you tonight. You have something for Storytelling Irma?
No, I'm just listening. I am enjoying, and I have to make this comment. Both the story, Sandra's story and Janice's story, we are healers. Those are healing stories. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for calling me so well. Those are, I can relate so well. The memories are just
I know you
there.
can relate.
Storytelling has helped me so much in my healing process. So I'm just thankful to be a storyteller.
Okay. Well, next we're going to hear from Mama Nzinga Aseleel. You ready, sister? You ready, Queen?
Say that again.
Are you ready? We're listening.
I'm here.
We're listening.
Peace, everybody. Jambo. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Peace. Shay, lock your knee. That means how's the family? Yeah. I talked a little bit on the radio today. This is the right now. This is the time that we're in. I'm gonna see if I can. Rick, y'all wanna play some drums behind me? Y'all know I love that drum.
Not gonna work.
If not, I'll go with this.
It might not work with a 4-second delay.
Right.
Okay. The Creator has a master plan. Peace and happiness throughout the land. The Creator makes but one demand. Happiness, happiness, happiness throughout all the land. Power of love. The power of love. The love. The power of love. The Creator has a master plan. Peace and happiness throughout the land. The Creator makes but one demand. Happiness, happiness throughout all the land. As I wake up in quarantine, as I wake up, blessing my soul, thanking the heavens that I rise today. I have a grand rising today. I have a grand rising today. So I must love. I must love. I must send light. I must give prayers. This is my healing today. I must use my spirit to push off the negativity, to run to the light, to be the light, to shine, to show what grace has been given to me. This is a sacred time. This is a sacred love. This is a sacred plan. While other men are turning doors and windows to confuse us, to let us not know who we realize who we really are in this time of crisis, in this time of opportunity. You gotta open your third eye. You gotta open your third eye. You gotta open your third eye and know that you know who you are. You are not a robot. You are not a robot.
All right.
But God has a master plan for those who wake up to the truth about whose we really are and why we're really here. So I just tell you, Black people, Africans in America, get organized. We be one strong, mighty fist. We be one strong, mighty fist, or we be on the takeout list. We be one strong, mighty fist. We be, they say the last should be the first. We be the first sign of the miracle. Yeah, we dropping, we falling. Others are still rising, coming forth, moving forward. The Creator has a master plan. Peace and happiness throughout the land. The Creator makes but one demand. Happiness, happiness throughout all the land. Ashe, ashe.
Ashe.
A lot of people know me because I'm a spontaneous poet. And that was a lot of spontaneity. I do other things. I do storytelling. And this is International Jazz Month, so I had to put that in there. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. That was
Yes.
Who haven't we heard from, and who we will hear from? Who's coming up next? Daryl, Irma, storytelling Irma, you have a story for us?
No, I don't. I'm not going to do it today.
I want to share.
I have a story.
Oh, go ahead.
Jawara, you want to share? Mama Jawara?
Yes, I want to share.
Bring it on, sis.
I want to share that I have been retired 18 years, and not until this month that I really appreciate and realize what retirement meant. I feel like I am listening to Papa, and he said, be still, reflect, be still, let me be God. And that's what I'm doing. I'm being still, and I'm doing some of the things that I need to do, wanted to do. Right now, I'm working on projects for my grandchildren. I have 15 grandchildren. And for each of them, I do a needlepoint blanket for them when they come home from the hospital with all the information on it. 15 grandchildren, I did 12 blankets, and I have 3 to work on, and I am using this time. I am just so grateful to have this time. I just love being in my house. And my projects, I couldn't go out to buy anything, so I went through all of my sewing stuff and all that I sew, well, I used to sew. And now I am working on these projects that I want to share with you. I think I'll share my 18-year-old. He's 18 years old, and I'm just giving him his blanket to come home from the hospital. Can you see it? Oh, wait. Is
it big enough?
Can you see it? Can you see it?
It's a blanket.
Why is he in the hospital?
No, the first group got blankets, blankets. The second group got pillows. This group here is getting just little wall hangings. But this boy is 18. His blanket says, Marcus Isaiah Brown, African name Jomari. It means a gift from God, artistic and brave, and his birth brings joy to the family. And I cut out the pictures of his immediate family. And the shape it's in the shape of a car. And I needle pointed his. But the next one, he's 18. He turned 18 in March. I was trying to give it to him before he became a man, but I didn't make it. And I cut the collar off of my mud cloth coat to put around the frame because I couldn't go out and buy any fabric. And so I cut I had enough to go around the whole picture frame except for 2 inches. So I have to do something else with the top. I don't think y'all can really see it, but the mud cloth is, so my coat now does not have a collar. The next one, she's 5 years old. She's 5, and her father painted her bedroom like this. It's yellow and white and gray, and she loves elephants, so I did the elephant. Oh, shucks. I cut, am I there? I cut up my gray sweater and cut an elephant out. Her ears are the neck of this thing. Yeah, you can't really see it. And I found 2 brown cowrie shells for the eyes. I don't know where they came from, but they just happened to be there. And so
it's just so adorable.
Yes. And then the last one, my great grandson. These are all. She's a grand. This is a great grand here. And his subject is, I brought his grandfather home from the hospital with this suit. He wore the suit. He's 54 now, and I still had the suit. So I put the suit on here, and I found these little elephants that I cut out. And I'm going to blow up his picture and cut the head out and put it on the top of the suit. And it's going to say, my pop came home from the hospital in this suit.
Great.
Nice.
That's wonderful.
So I am just so elated to be home and be able to do this kind of stuff because that's what I've been wanting to do. And I'm glad I got a chance to share that with you because none of them are finished. And now that I put it public, they got to be finished. I'm so glad to be on here with y'all. I miss y'all. Don't you miss being with people?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Of course.
And this is my family here with some new folks up in there. And Diane, I want to say thank you. You sent me the night before Christmas, the night before Christmas, and Afro and Ebonics. And I just thank you. So now I have
Gullah. It was Gullah.
Yes. So I have it in Gullah, I have it in Ebonics, and I have the original, and I have 4 different versions of the night before Christmas.
Wow.
And I want to say thank you. I never officially thanked you, Diane, but thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, I enjoyed you. I could have listened to you talk all evening.
Me too.
Listen to you. That was wonderful. I am so
Mama
glad I know how
Hey. Are you going to share something with us? And I'm hoping Oba, I'm hoping Oba's going to stay on as well. Are you going to share something with us, Mama Carla?
Would you like to hear my new poem?
Yes.
That's only if Jawara is.
I'm done. I'm finished.
You done?
I'm finished.
Okay.
Actually, Oni, you inspired this one. It was from a conversation that we had. So.
Don't get her started.
Come on with it, girl. Come on with it.
It's called Defining Love. Some say love is high, heavy, and hard to stay faithful to. I guess it would be if I loved like you do. Some say love is too serious to say all the time. It should be silent, reserved for those I choose to be mine. Some say love is for family, those who share blood with me. Some say love is a tool used to trap fools. Some see love as a remedy and hate as a malady. Some see it the other way around. The word love makes them frown. I can feel all your views, but can't narrow it like you. The kinds of love are much like senses. They vary in ways, means, and tenses. One love is reserved just for your boo, the one who turns your heart to goo. Love is the feeling of laughter and relief. It's the healing and scarring from joy and from grief. Love is the smell under a baby's chin, the scent of Sunday dinner and of your lover's skin. Love is the sight of sunrise and set, the goosebumps that arise when your forever is met. Love is the sound of a new life's song and the stories told when life's about gone. Love is the taste of happy tears, a cup of time to share your fears. And love, yes, as fragile as it is brave and real. It can devastate as well as heal. And love is needed in every day to show and grow, and yes, to say. So don't hold back. We need the glow to light our darkness and restart our flow.
Wow.
Very nice.
Nice. Really nice.
Very nice.
Thank you, Oni.
Nice.
When did I inspire that? I didn't think you liked me.
I be loving up on you, Oni. You just a booger.
What happened?
That's what I tell my granddaughter when she's being naughty. I tell her, "What are you doing, being a booger?" So now she walks around telling people, "You a booger."
No, I want to know. I do want to know because
when you inspired that.
Yeah.
Remember when we were writing each other back and forth, and you were in Trinidad, or you were in Tobago?
Yeah.
And you said that you don't like to say I love you all the time because then it's not special.
Oh, okay.
But I think that love should be said all the time. I think we need to hear that more than we hear, because we can say I hate you or you get on my nerves a lot, but we can't. It's like we can't say I love you all the time. And I think love is more important.
Yeah, I think so too. I remember when we first met, we rubbed each other the wrong way.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And
no, let's just say our creative.
I can't imagine why that would happen.
Who that? Who that? Who that?
Never say that thing.
No, I'm just saying we were, creative juices were flowing, and we just had a little disagreement in the flow of it. But we never. I'll rack it up to maturity. We never let that stop us caring and working together.
family.
And I was always so happy for the creativity you brought to Keepers of the Culture and you brought to every production. And I know that we got on each other's nerves early on, so we got over it and we could move on and love each other. Right?
Oh, you remind me of my sisters. Remember, I come from a big old family of sisters, and you remind me of one of them.
I did too. I grew up with 3 sisters. Well, that's not a lot, but I was the baby, so you know what I mean.
Well, yeah. I'm the middle child.
I'd like to hear a song. Are you, Mama Carla? Is that? Are you have anything else to share?
Oh no, I'm done. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. That was beautiful. Everybody give her a shake.
Yeah, that was good.
Tony.
Yes.
This is Oba.
Oba. Peace and love, my brother.
Love y'all. Blessings.
Oh, nice. When we gonna see your face? I want to see you.
Oh, Oba.
Yeah,
I love my people, Oba.
I love my people.
Okay, so Mama was calling for a piece, and I've been trying to work on something for the COVID-19. So I'm gonna try to do this and see if I can hear it.
Okay.
Bring it.
Wait, I gotta turn it back. I gotta run it back.
Come on, y'all. Let's get it up. Come
Can
on,
you hear
let's
it
get
yet?
shoulders.
Can you hear it
You
yet?
guys in the house. We gotta move.
Y'all
Come
hear
on,
it?
y'all.
Turn it up, over.
Stand
Turn it up, over.
Can you hear it?
Stand up. Come on now.
No,
Can you
turn
hear
it
it?
up.
I hear it.
It's turned up.
Play it. Play it.
Can't hear it.
Can't hear you, over.
Oh no.
No, I can't. You can't hear me?
It's loud.
I can't hear it.
No, can't hear it.
You can't hear it.
I heard it. I heard it. Why'd you stop?
I heard
Oh,
it.
oh, I thought it wasn't playing.
It was playing.
It was playing.
Just let it play.
I was gonna read it like a poem. Hey, who got a keyboard over there?
That's there.
Oh, I wish we could do it together. Can we do it together though?
The delay.
Let's do it.
It's too much delay, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Hey,
You
Mama.
never know.
Give it a shot. Yeah, try it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna just go with the group.
Gotta wash my hands and sanitize. Don't touch my face, won't rub my eyes. Gonna cover my cough in the crook of my arm, so my germs don't cause nobody no harm. Stay 6 feet from the next people in line. It'll all be over in due time. I'm gonna try my best to move ahead, follow the rules to see these
I love it.
Fight COVID-19 together, we can beat COVID-19.
Come on.
It's a virus, y'all.
Look at you.
I wrote it, but I pressed it.
Right. Where's my man?
Stay in the house, stay in the house, stay in the house.
You got that keyboard? You got keyboard, right?
You know we got
Follow the road.
wash my hands and sanitize. Don't touch my face, rub my
Touch my eyes.
Cover my cough in the crook of my arm, so my germs don't cause nobody no harm. Stay
I can't hear. Oh my God, I want to hear it so bad.
in due time, we'll try our best to move ahead, follow the rules to CDC's. I'm not being rude, I'm not being mean. We all gotta fight COVID-19.
But that's it.
COVID-19.
Not being, what do you say? Not being rude, not being mean. We all got to fight COVID-19. You come on now.
I like that.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, but sing for us your hit song, your hit record. I love my people.
Oh,
Come on now.
I love doing I Love My People. We just did I Love My People this afternoon.
Come on, do it with us. We want to hear from. We want to hear that. Come on, Oba.
You want to hear it right now?
Right?
Yeah.
I thought
Might
he
as
was
well.
working on the keyboard.
Might as well hold it down.
No,
We do it a cappella. We love that song.
He was working on the keyboard when we was trying to do it where he was going to play keyboard. We're going to see if it's a bad delay.
yeah, but if it's not, Daryl can always play something. He can always jam something out because after you, we want to have a song from Deborah, and then Daryl can do his thing because, you know, we want to give everybody a chance. So, but I'm feeling you right now, my brother, and I would love to sing I Love My People.
Okay. That's beautiful. We're gonna do
Either that, but either that or we're connected.
Oh, all right. Come on with it.
Oh yeah, we could do connected, but I need my drum. I'm sorry.
Come on, go get it. You know you got it.
I hope you have on pants over.
Okay.
Looks a little suspicious.
Watch it, mama. Watch it, mama.
Looks a little suspicious over.
Got the oversized family reunion shirt on.
Watch it. Watch it, mama.
He looked a little suspicious when he got out of the chair.
Yeah. Diane, where you at? Diane, where you go? It's William. Diane. You eating again? You in the kitchen eating again?
It's dinner time.
Oh, you no more fried chicken.
I like this one.
Come on, Oba. Hold on.
Now he muted.
No.
Ancestors said to play my drum.
Come on.
Play for you this African sound. Find a rhythm to clap your hands. We are connected to the elements. Connected, the ancestor said that I should try. Get you to raise your voice up high. Somebody scream, find a message in this song. This is how we'll get along. Connected like leaves to a tree. Connected like sand to the beach. Connected like stars in the sky. Connected, yeah. You and I are connected like heat from the sun. Connected, a hand on a drum. Connected, all birds and wings. Connected, yeah. Everything is connected. The ancestors said to play my drum. Play for you this African sound. Find a rhythm so you can dance. We are connected to the elements. Hey, 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 hey. Connected like ice in a glass. Connected like now to a past. Connected like clouds to the rain. Connected, yes. Joy and pain is connected. Connected, come on.
Okay.
I hear that. Connected, now y'all sing. Connected, right there, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here. Connected, right there. Connected, to play my drum and play this African sound. Find a reason to raise our voice. Our death is our own damn choice. Ancestors said I should try to get you to raise your voice up high. Find the message in this song.
Go ahead, y'all.
Connected.
Connected.
All right, you got one. I love my people. I asked for that first. Love my people. Come on, over.
Connected.
Come on, Debbie, sing.
We can sing now.
Sing, Deborah. Sing.
Sing.
You the singer. Sing it, Debbie.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Okay. This is really cool.
All right.
This is really cool.
Right on.
Thank you.
Well, I have a vision of having a studio, little studio. I've done some stuff. I've done some work with Nzinga. I had a CD that I did, a jazz CD, and we're working with James Watkins. He just had a slight stroke, but he's going to be back. He'll be back. And since we're trapped in a house, right? Most of the people can't gather. So I said, well, that's not going to stop us, right? And Nzinga's not going to stop us. So what we are going to do, what I'm doing with some of my friends, some of my, singers, because we're depression, I can't sit around. I'm going to be recording with Zoom. So, like, if you just learn how to do it, you can have each one of these boxes can be a section. We have a soprano section, we have a bass section, we have a keyboard section, we can have a spoken word section. Where are you, Nzinga? I don't see you. Where? Right here. Where? Wait a minute.
Well, I don't know if I did.
Oh, turn your camera back on.
Well, I didn't know I turned it off.
I don't see you. Okay, anyway.
I see you.
Yeah, but you all have really good energy.
Yes.
Really. I'm inspired.
Thank you. We feeling you too, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's phenomenal, and he's got an awesome voice.
So come on now, bring it. What you want us to do? We can do it.
Okay. Can I play just a teeny touch of a project that I did? Just a couple of bars. Just a couple of bars. I'm real shy.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm just going to play this track.
I do a workshop on not being shy, so you need to sign up. And I'm going to help you out.
Nzinga and I used to do, we used to do shows, and she would come out, I would do the music, we would sing, and then Nzinga would she would do like a poetry, like a spoken word for whichever person that we were doing the show for. And then we got together several times before the event, and we kind of tailored the whole thing around the person that was doing the show. I mean, having a show, the person that we were, doing the show for, or the event. And it was really a really nice, creative thing, like a real awesome, just awesome. I'm not much of a talker, but I like to just do. This is one of the cuts that I did with my first CD when we released. All the music is mine. I'm doing all the backgrounds, but there's something that's out there that so just play just a couple bits.
Yeah.
This is called Jesus in the City. Okay, so imagine 52nd Street, and they're up on 52nd Street, and they're selling all kinds of stuff that is like they're Jesus, And he came up and he came up with the whip and straightened it up. So this is called Jesus in the City, and this was done a while ago. One of a cut. In the city. Just cut it after the vote. Jesus in the city.
Deborah, you feeling that one, huh?
Okay.
We got Deborah sings, you know, she's a vocalist, so she's feeling that, John.
Well, awesome.
I like it. I like it.
We get together with and sing it. Well, we just come up with a song, and she does the lyrics, and we just have fun.
That's beautiful. I grew up on 52nd Street.
Well, see, the vision was a vision of people acting like they're. I'm not a religious person, really, per se. But when we were putting this together, like a vision of people. Okay, let's imagine you're going into Washington, and the people so say that that they are Christians. So Jesus comes in to the Senate, where Mitch McConnell and all them are, with his whip. Okay? And so the whole thing of him being in the city, he's coming in and he's going to clean all this stuff up. So that was the vision of this particular city.
Beautiful concept. Thank you.
Okay.
Beautiful concept. Thank you. I hope he does. I can't wait till he comes and cleans it up, for real though.
Right. Yeah. Trust me.
But so next, thank you, my brother Daryl Lewis, and we hope you join us again next week.
Thank you.
Bob, I want to close with "I Love My People," but right now, Deborah, did you have a song you want to sing for us?
I do, if that's all right. First of all, I want to say I have so enjoyed this once again. I was trying to get on at 7:27. And for some reason I couldn't get on, but fine.
Because you were late.
At 7:27?
That's why you couldn't get on.
Is that, oh, I thought it started at 7:30. Oh my goodness.
No, it started at 7.
Why I couldn't get on last week.
That's why I couldn't get on.
That's why I couldn't get on last week. It was so, you know, everybody's having these virtual meetings and.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But I'm glad I made it on. I'm glad.
You can't see the speaker. Can you see the speaker now?
No, I just see you, me, Carla, and Lovie.
This is how it works, Jawara. Whoever speaks gets the big screen.
Well, I have not seen anyone for the last 5 minutes, but these 4 people right here.
Okay, well, are you on your laptop or your iPad?
You have
I'm
to
on my
scroll.
phone.
Slide your finger. You see
You have
those
to
dots?
slide your finger on your phone. Tell her, Paul.
See everybody else. Slide your
On your
screen. You see
phone.
those dots at the bottom?
Or it has little blue arrows. There's little blue arrows that you can go to the right or the left.
I don't see any arrows.
You see dots at the bottom of your screen?
That's okay. Oh, there's Paul. Hi, Paul.
Right. So slide your screen.
Oh.
Hi, Oba.
Oh, there's Daryl. Hi, Daryl. Okay, then. Oh, I love this technology. There's Janice and Ivy. I mean, Irma and Sandra and me. Okay. This is wonderful.
Okay.
Gosh, this is wonderful.
Okay.
What you doing, Paul?
How it works is if whoever's talking or who's ever like telling a story or performing, I try to mute everyone else. Because if you say anything while they're telling the story or singing, you'll be focused on. It'll switch the screen to you, to the person. Even if you cough, it'll pick you up. And while someone is delivering their part. As you see, we all have attention getters. We all want attention.
Yeah, but I didn't even get on yet, man.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Who said that?
I'll get on next time. I want to hear the song because I'm starting to get sleepy. Who said they didn't get on yet? I'm old.
Who said they didn't get on yet? Who said
I didn't get on yet?
No, I can't see nobody. Raise my hand.
I want to hear Deborah's song.
My hand is raised.
Now, on the screen, just answer me this, people. Is everybody seeing everybody now?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
If you're on a laptop?
No.
No, I'm on the phone. I can't.
See, your phone is a limited view.
Okay. Well, I can see Diane. I'm waiting for her to sing.
So it's not Diane, it's Deborah who's going to sing us a song.
Deborah.
Deborah is a Kwanzaa queen, one of my longtime friends.
Okay.
Long before I even knew about KOTC or storytelling. We've been friends that long. So Deborah, we're listening.
It has been. Oh my goodness. Well, I appreciate it. I have loved all of the performances.
I lost the video. Oh God. Lost video.
All the storytelling. Oh my goodness. It's can you see me, Oni?
Yes.
You can.
We see. Can everybody see everybody in the square? Like Hollywood Square, like Storyteller Square.
Why does everybody keep saying yes? I can't see anybody.
We see you and we hear you, and I'm going to mute you.
Yeah. I have enjoyed everybody. Just wonderful talent, and just happy to be here. This particular song that and thank you for allowing me. This particular song I wrote in reference to love. Love is everything, and it doesn't matter how successful you are, where you are monetarily or financially, if you don't have the love of your life next to you, it doesn't mean a thing. And it was inspired by Billy D. Williams in Mahogany when he tells her, success is nothing without the one you love. So this particular song is called Without You, and I hope you enjoy it. Fat money, fat cars, fat anything you are, that's nice. What I need is a little of you. Baby, I could rule the world. I could be the richest girl. But without you, it don't mean a thing. Maybe I could be a queen with a treasure unseen. But without you, it don't mean a thing. Fat money, fat cars, fat anything you are, that's nice. What I need is a little of you. I could take it to the top, but baby, all that's a flop, cause what I need is a little of you. Cause without you, it don't mean a thing. But without you, it don't mean a thing. I could hit the lottery, sail across the 7 seas, but without you, it don't mean a thing. I could be right, never wrong, go where no man has gone, but without you, it don't mean a thing. Cause without you, it don't mean a thing. Without your sugar, it don't mean a thing. Without you, baby, It don't mean a thing without you. It don't mean a thing.
All right.
Yeah.
It's true, too. It don't mean a thing.
Don't mean a thing.
It don't mean a thing. And
Don't mean nothing.
thank you so much. It's on Spotify, all of the streaming apps, Apple Music, iTunes, under Jett Blaq, Jettblaq. That's my stage name, Jett Blaq.
Yeah, you got a beautiful voice.
I was getting ready to say you certainly look like Jett Blaq when she introduced you as Deborah.
Well, that's what she has typed
Thank
in.
you. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you.
Yeah. But the last week you did a song about love. It was so beautiful about you did for your daughter.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
That love song was so touching.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't get to hear the music, but the words were so wonderful. Thank you for that.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you. Thank you, Jett Blaq.
Yes.
You have to write in, you have to type in Jett Blaq in you had Deborah written on your screen. So you have to type
Jett
in
Blaq
Jett
now.
Blaq. Okay. Did you have music in that piece? Because I didn't really hear any music underneath you.
You couldn't hear the music?
No, we couldn't. I couldn't hear the music.
I can hear a little bit of it.
Could you? I couldn't hear any
Could you
music.
hear it?
Just very faintly, but her voice and everything was so powerful. It
Sounded
like
good.
it was necessary. It wasn't necessary.
I'll have to sing a little bit softer next.
No, you don't.
No,
Don't change the name.
And
Carla, your locks look beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
my son, which is a digital musician, is the one that did the beats for me. So I was hoping you would hear his beats. He's my son. He is 51. He'll be 52 this year. And still doing the music, and hopefully this year, as last year, I will get to perform for his birthday party. So I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Voice.
Thank you, Jett Blaq.
Thank you. Oh, I see Jett Blaq.
B-L-A-Q.
B-L-A-Q.
You know, y'all working me too much for all this, okay?
Well, just give up the hat, Oni. Just give up the hat, Oni.
Don't be hating on my hat, okay? I ain't giving it up, all right? Anyone else want to share before we leave? How about Jacqueline Wiggins? Jacqueline?
Jackie?
I haven't heard from you.
Wait a minute, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. I just have a little thing that I was just thinking about because there was so much beautiful music on. It's a short little song by Amina Baraka that I used years ago. I still use it when I do my little camp, little Underground Railroad camp. So, and for some of you, you probably remember it. So it goes like this. I want to do something after. Si watu we usi watu wazuri pamoja tutashinda. Tutashinda. We are black, beautiful people. Together we will win. Together we will win. Together we will win. Now, what I want to mention is that when I was teaching this to a group of 5th graders, we talked about freedom, justice, and equality. But then as things will go, I asked the children, what is meant by what we will win? What is it we want to win? And one little girl raises her hand and says, tickets. Goes to show that we have to have more depth. We have to have more.
We got work to do.
Tickets, let's see, here you go. We talked about freedom, justice, and equality forever. But these are the things that happen. So that's my contribution for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody's eating something all of a sudden.
No, I'm not eating nothing.
I tried to do it beforehand, but I kind of nibbled a little bit here and there.
It's not that time.
I have something I want to share before we close.
Good.
My son sent me a 23andMe, and I was reluctant to do it because there used to be a member of KOTC called, what was her name? She was an opera singer, and she always wore red.
Yeah.
What was
Her
her name,
brother was
Irma?
a famous football player.
Yes, and she, gosh,
Direct.
her name escapes, huh?
Leontine Price?
No, she was a member of
Was it
Keepers of the
Faith?
Culture,
Was it
and she
Faith
sung
Faith?
opera. She's Faith.
Was it
Faith
Faith?
Mbuntu.
Faith. Yeah.
Faith.
Faith.
And I used, when she joined KOTC, I was like her little sidekick for a minute because I was doing the KOTC newsletter and I wanted to get everybody, you know, get to know everybody and continue with the newsletter. And Faith had lived in Africa. She was married to a Ghanaian man, and she used to say, well, only if you don't know your heritage, if you don't know who you are, you could be whatever you want. So I didn't really take it in at the time, but I sort of understood because I knew who I was from an early age. I always consider I'm Black, and I knew I was from African, and I knew I had some African in me. I knew I had some European in me. I knew I had some Native in me on my mother's side. But my son recently sent me this 23andMe.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to really do it because I just said I could, you know, I can be whatever I want to be. You know, I'm a human being and I could be wherever I go. I could be wherever I want to be, maybe except for Caucasian. So I took the test. I took the 23andMe. Has anybody ever done DNA or done those ancestry things?
Yes.
How did you like it, Janice?
It was all right. They just be careful because if you join Ancestry.com, you've joined the Mormon Church.
Lord have mercy.
Do you know
Boy,
that?
it's so tricky.
That some knowledge. That's some knowledge. Okay,
They can
now.
count you. That you're not actually joining the church, but they can count you in their numbers. So when they boast so many members, there are all those people here for census or for whatever purposes. Those are a lot of Mormons, but there are a lot of people who have signed up from Ancestry. If you're going to do something, do blackancestry.com.
Right.
And I found out, you know.
Boy, that Mazunga, he worse than Bear Rabbit, ain't he?
Okay, that's good to know. Well, I did sign up for Ancestry years ago when it first came out, and it was the big talk, everybody Ancestry, but I never finished it because I really didn't know. My mother didn't talk about her family line, and so she didn't talk about it much. We just thought that she was from a native tribe called Kushasas in Louisiana, basket weavers. And then my father, I knew my father was interracial, that his father was European. And I knew that his mother was African because I saw her at his funeral, at my father's funeral when he died when I was 10 years old. So what happened when I got the DNA kit done, I have a cousin in New York named Shawnee, and I used to go visit them. They lived in Harlem on Convent Street, right there in front of Columbia, one of those big old high rises. And so Shawnee is the family historian, and I took the DNA and it came back that I was 59.6 West African, Nigerian, Ghanaian, and Liberian. Some sub-Saharan, and then it came back with 33% French and German, which I thought was Irish. I thought my father's father was an Irish man. So anyway, when I talked to Shawnee, I just got the book today, and that's why I want to share it. When I talked to Shawnee, she told me that there was, a legend had it that my father's people lived on the plantation where they wrote Porgy and Bess. That was a legend. So I always wondered why I was so drawn to, after learning Dunbar back in the 90s, I was so drawn to this plantation, this history. And from Liza's mother, I did Harriet Tubman, and I did Francis Walker, and you know, I was Sojourner Truth. I've even done Sojourner Truth. And I've always wondered why I'm so, this whole plantation era is calling me so strongly. So I got the book today. This is how thick it is.
Wow.
And it's a book of my great grandfather. I don't know if you could see it, like you can read it. The letter is readable, or do I have to turn on mirror or something? Am I showing this right, Paul?
We can see it.
Okay, well, it's called A World Turned Upside Down. And it's the Palmers of South Santee, 1818 to 1881. And it's my story of my great grandfather, my father's father's father, who was a doctor. He was a slave owner. And I just got it today. So Shawnee said, there's some pink toes in the family tree. She told me that, but she also led me to this book. So I'm going to read it. It's all letters written by this family who was very wealthy, who came over from Europe, settled in South Carolina. My father was born in Cross, South Carolina. And this book is their letters. And they were slave owners. My grandmother, they called Davik. Davik had 3 children with his son. Of course, not in the book. And Shawnee told me that it was her mother and my father, brother and sister. And she said that her mother had told her when his son came to look for her one time, she told him to go to hell. And so I had this image, oh, maybe they were in love, you know, but it was really a case of rape. Right. And he
generally it is.
He molested her 3 times, enough times for her to have 3 children. One of them was my father, his sister, and another, my Uncle Thomas, and Shawnee's mother. So I'm going to read this, and who knows, maybe I'll develop, I find great joy through my mentor, Diane Williams, who helped me work out the outline to Harriet Tubman, because I was like, I'm not Harriet Tubman. I'm too light-skinned to be Harriet Tubman. And you find when children hear the stories of our heroes and sheroes, they don't care what skin color you are.
Right.
It's how you make them feel about the story. And when I was went to Temple University had a school, and the first time I did Harriet Tubman, I was so nervous. Diane helped me make the outline. She worked me through it because I didn't know anything about, you know, reenacting. And I was only asked to do Harriet Tubman because of my Dunbar character, Liza's mother. So when I went and I did Harriet Tubman at the end, you know, when you break down, you know how it is, Janice, when you break down and you come out of character and you tell the children, well, I'm not, you go into the Q&A about it. And I says, well, you know, I'm not really Harriet Tubman. The little girl in the first row, she said, yes, you are.
That's what kids do. They will do that. Their children say, I can't wait to get home and tell my mother I met Harriet Tubman today.
But that tells you that you're doing something right.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll have something to share about one of the letters. It seems like it's going to be some juicy stuff. And I hope to be able to share something about these people, a world turned upside down, sort of like what we're living in today, right?
Absolutely.
Family stories are always juicy.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Upside down ever since Trump got elected.
I'm
surprised there's not a mob outside the White House right now with a torch to pull him out of there.
No, because they've made it a law. They've made it a law that nobody can do that. They already cover their butts by making it a law that you cannot gather. You'll be fined $5,000 or you'll be arrested. So that's why there's nobody out there.
Other than that,
there are people that will believe him and love him no matter what he does, because their racism trumps everything.
He's mentally ill.
You leaving us, Oba?
All right, so everyone, good night. Thanks for hanging out.
Good night.
You want to say anything? Good
See you
night.
next Friday.
Next Friday. Love y'all.
Good night.
Hold on. Janice, did you want to mention about Nab's concert? Aren't we going to have a virtual concert?
Oh, a virtual village telling. I think Coach C, Rib, I can't remember the first 5. It's on May the 13th at 7 o'clock in the evening Eastern time. And we have different people from 5 different affiliates who will be telling, and Mama Linda's going to kick us off and we'll ring her bells. And then we'll have a virtual village telling. Then we'll have 5 more affiliates in June and then 5 more in July. And hopefully by the time we finish that, we will know what's happening in November. And I'm praying that we will be able to have the festival. I'm leaving that in hands more powerful than mine. So God's will be done.
Amen.
Amen.
And Coach C, as it is in NABS and all the storytellers around the world. Let's keep all our friends in Africa. I hear countries in Africa are having a very bad time. I listen to NPR and BBC, and the countries over there are having a very hard time with this virus. So we must keep our brothers and sisters over there in our prayers as well.
In China,
how are they having a hard time?
The Africans, in China, they have arrested, they have put the Africans out of their apartments, out of their homes.
That's the Asian people did that.
Taken their passports. They can't leave.
Yeah, the Asian people.
I hear President Bongo from, is it Liberia, or I forget what country, but I hear he's sending in a plane to get his people out of China.
Good. That's great.
African president is sending people to get them out.
Yeah, but Africa isn't suffering from the virus.
No, Italy is.
No, some of the countries are. Not the whole, but some of the countries are.
Must have took it there.
Right, some of them not like Italy though. Hello? Italy, Wuhan, China, that's the face of the virus, not Africa.
No, I'm not saying it's the face of it. I'm just saying they're affected.
No, I was just saying. I know you weren't.
Okay, thanks.
What
happened? Paul, would you like to close out?
Just heal yourself. That's all I'm going to say. Heal yourself.
Yeah.
All right now.
All right.
Love.
Checking out. Have a good week, everyone.
Love.
Take care of yourselves. Be loved, be well, be liked. Thank you for participating. We couldn't have had this without you all. All right, love. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Peace and blessings.
Thank you, Jen.
Peace and blessings, everybody.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Oba.
Blessings, everybody. Blessings. The Creator has a master plan.
Blessings.
Yes, he does.
What's that, a spliff?
He has a master. Thank you, Nzinga. He has a master plan.
Yeah, it's
a master plan. Yes, the master plan.
I gotta unmute you. Don't mute yourself.
Nzinga, beautiful. Wake up.
Give thanks.
Wake up. I love it.
Give thanks and praises.
Leaving.
All right, everybody.
All right, bye-bye. Take care. I'll stay to the end. We have some nice comments.
Paul, I'm so glad to see you.
I'm calling you, Mom. I'm calling you tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, nice. Did you want to share with anybody anything, Paul?
Oh, no, we're good. Go to bed. Go to bed.
How's your dad?
I'm a midnight raver. I never go to bed.
Paul.
He's doing better.
I love you, Jawara.
Paul, tell your mother we asked about her.
And I hug around the neck.
Okay.
Daryl, thank you. I love your energy. And
yes,
thank you, Sandra. I love you and Rick. Thank you. Y'all make it happen. Jett Blaq, right on.
Right on.
I'm the
Thank
meeting.
you.
Love you guys. Love all of you, my brothers and sisters. I love my people.
I love my people.
Come on.
I love my people.
Y'all don't want to eat up.
Sandra.
I know, huh? All right, y'all. I'll talk to you. Thanks for dropping in on us.
Thank
so
you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Invite more people
Thank
next
you.
time,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Jett Blaq.
Thank you. Thank you, Oni. Thank you.
Joara, Rick and Sandra. Y'all made it happen. I'll see you next Friday, all right? Tell more people.
Same time, same time, same place.
Yes, right.
There
I want
you
to see your face in the place.
In the place. Same time, next week.
All right.
All right.
Love
Blessing.
y'all.
Mwah.
Peace.
Peace and love.
All right. Okay, I gotta go.